Hello and welcome to Tutorial Tuesday. Today we're going to go over the 17 to 35 millimeter lens, or any wide angle zoom lens that comes down to, that goes up to 35, versus a prime lens or a 50 millimeter lens, 45 millimeter lens, prime fixed focal length lenses. Now first off, I want to start with the 17 to 35 millimeter lens. I would say some of the pros of it are, as it sounds, it goes from 17. See if the autofocus will catch that. It goes from 17 to 35 millimeters. Now what that really means is it goes from a very wide shot to a very close down, what do you call it, telephoto or normal shot, like a portrait type shot. The other lens we have today is the 50 millimeter. As you can tell, our rip is smaller, but that's only because of the lenses I decided to use to illustrate the examples. The 16 to 50 millimeter lens that I have on the camera is much smaller, but I wanted to use this as the example just so, because if you were getting a zoom lens that was more professional grade, this is typically what you're going to come across. And if you were getting a prime lens, this is typically the size that they would be, just because they're fixed lengths. For example, not for this video, but even this is an 80 millimeter lens, and kind of see that they're consistently pretty economic on size. So that's a quick little benefit of fixed lenses, is that they're really compact and good on size. But again, that's not universal. A lot of these are very small as well. It's just that the smaller ones don't usually offer as good a quality as the bigger ones. Usually, that's not universal. You gotta do a lot of research when you're shopping for lenses. That's another benefit of maybe this video. Okay, so I don't want to shit on this lens for being so fat and heavy, because for it being so fat and so heavy, it does have a lot of positive attributes. For one, when you're down at a 17, it gives you a wide focal length. What you're looking at right now at me in this camera is a 16 millimeter focal length. So that's pretty much what this starts out with when you're opening up your frame. Now, as it goes along, let's see if I can fix it on here, just illustrate it. That's 35 millimeters. And as we go further down, this 50. It's 50. So that's a wide departure from this all the way back down to this. So already off rip, that's the difference between a 17 and 50 millimeter, is that you can fit so much into the frame with a 17 or wide angle zoom frame. And if you're working with if you're working with a little bit of space, or you don't have a lot of room to move around with, I would recommend a wide angle frame all the way, just because it's so versatile in the spaces that you can work with. Another benefit of the zoom lens is that you don't have to get up on your subjects. If you were not shooting models or working with people with predetermined shoots, you feel me, be out in the streets and don't have to necessarily get up in your subject's face to get a good portrait, because you can obviously zoom in and get a better picture. That's more subjective than anything. Another benefit of this 16, I already said it works well in space. But not just in this space, is that for the same reason that I said that for the opposite reason why it works for models is that you can get close up on your models and not sacrifice the background and put more of your model in the frame and still have a lot of the background in the frame as well. So you can get a very versatile shots. For example, I'm in the frame and I have a lot of background in the frame. As you can remember, when you saw the 50mm, there was very little frame and a lot of my face. So that's the main takeaway when you're dealing with zoom lenses or wider angle lenses, is that they're very economic on space and they're very versatile in the amount of shots that you can get with them. While being versatile though, I will have to say that the trade-off is the better ones typically are pretty bulky and pretty heavy. You can find smaller ones, but they will be starters. I would not recommend them for professional gigs or jobs if you needed it. I will always recommend something like a Tamron. I hate to put price tags on it, but pay more than $500 and up for your zoom lenses that are going to go into your work camera, unless you can find it for a deal. But see what the market value of the lens is, because the starter lenses, like the one that I have on the camera now, as good as it may look, it does not, it pales in comparison to the quality of the bigger zoom lenses. So they're heavy and they cost a lot if you want a good one. That's the takeaway from the big zoom lenses. Also, if you're into street photography and you kind of want to move around more discreetly, it's not the best to have in the street. But if you like drawing that attention, it's pretty good because people immediately say, "Oh, that's a good camera," or something like that. So, but I like to be a little bit more low key. So that's the takeaway. I like to use the smaller lenses. And that brings me to the smaller lens, the 50mm.
It's 50.
I like this because I like to take a lot of portraits. I like to get close to people. I don't mind closing that distance a little bit when I'm doing street photography. There's a lot of movement. The 50mm lens is has less versatility in the fact that you have to move to get that versatility more than you would with this. For example, if I go out and do portraits with a client, and I only use the 50mm, pause while I change the lens so I can give you an example.
Jones barbecue and foot massage. Jones barbecue and foot massage.
Like I said, 50mm are typically better for portraits. They give you more of what your eye sees, so your head doesn't look so small in the frame. It might look a little bigger, but I'm sorry to say you might have a big head, like me. I have a very large head. But it looks normal on a 50mm versus the 17mm, which I'll probably put in like a side by side here, just so you can look at it and see the difference. Get out of here. Goodbye. Back to the show. Like I said, the 50mm is very good for portraits. If you don't mind getting closer to your subject, moving your feet a little bit, that's the only way to mess with the focal length on this, is to say. But like I said, I like how much more normal people's parts look. Like your head looks more normal size. Everything looks more real to eye with the 50mm versus a 17, where it's kind of like offering some distortion, but just by the very nature trying to put so much in the frame is compacting a lot of what's in front of you. So keep that in mind. Not to say that the 50mm isn't without draws. Again, the same thing. The same reason why I like it is the same reason why a lot of people won't like it, is you have to stay very active. You got to move in your feet a lot to find the shot. If you don't have a lot of space, it is probably not the best lens to start with, just because it can be very difficult and unforgiving, especially if you're very limited on space. If you have a lot of space, please, by all means, move your feet, mess with your focal lengths, and try to fit everything in the frame as you can. But if you're short on space, I understand, baby. You got to make hard decisions. You got to decide what's in the frame and what's not in the frame. But that's them's the bricks as it goes. Now, ideally, you would like to have a well-rounded collection that has 17 to 35 millimeter zoom lenses and fixed prime lenses. I know that's not the reality of things, so I know I talked a lot of schmack about it, but the kit lens is good. For example, I shot this entire video with the kit lens. Kit lenses are pretty affordable, and it'll give you a wide variety of shots to start with. It goes from the lens that comes with most of Nikon's is a 16 to 50 millimeter lens. And that's, again, for everything I just showed you about the wide lens and everything I just showed you about the fixed lens, this can do it all. Not as well as either of them, but starting out, it'll definitely help you learn the difference between wide, normal, telephoto, all those different things you can learn with the kit lens, and it offers you a wide variety of shots, both wide and close thing, normal, whatever. Yeah, and again, I said I give my personal experiences. Yeah, working with clients, I like this because it's gives you more like those fashion shoots, you know, Vogue and things like that. You can close a lot of you can close a lot of space. You can fill a lot of space with the wide angle lens if you're creative enough. And that's another drawback, is you're going to be left with a lot of negative space. So think about what's going to be in that frame when you're using wider angle lenses. 50 millimeter again is less forgiving, but it is more forgiving that you got less to worry about in the frame. But if you want to put a lot in the frame, it could be trying. And yeah, that's the video. I don't want to overcomplicate things. It could be very simple if you allow it to be. It could be very hard if you want it to be. But yeah, basically, you can fit a lot in the frame. You can fit less in the frame. This makes your head look small. And this makes your head look normal size. But as you can tell, I'm done. So I'll catch you guys on the next tutorial Tuesday. We're gonna go over what's on our schedule. 5 reasons why you should give film a chance. That's next Tuesday, October 11th, I believe. And we're gonna go over 5 reasons why you should give film a chance. I missed my opportunity to say shot. You should give film a shot. That sounds mad corny. So 5 reasons why you should give film a chance. And yeah, so hit the, what is it called? The notification button, subscribe, so that you can be updated when that video comes out. If you're interested in it, leave a comment letting me know if I missed anything, because you know, my brain don't work so good. Yeah, and that's it for this video. Thanks for watching if you made it this far, and take care of yourselves. Get out of here. Bye.